This guy is doing some things that are extremely detrimental to society, to himself, to his family. And yet, he walks that tightrope where I think the audiences will at least understand why he's doing it.
Breaking Bad is a show about what happens to somebody when they're pushed to the edge.
He goes from a kind of a mild-mannered guy who hasn't really taken a lot of chances and risks to a powerful, risk-taking guy who breaks to the bad side.
It's a Wolfman story. It's a Jekyll and Hyde story. It's a story about a guy who is a caterpillar and we're turning him into a butterfly, a meth-cooking butterfly.
Walter White is a sweet, depressed man who is mired in a midlife crisis.
Happy birthday.
He has a beautiful wife that he loves, and they have a 16-year-old special needs son with CP.
How does it feel to be old?
How does it feel to be a smartass?
The problem with Walt is that he's been teaching high school chemistry for about 25 years, and the spark has diminished. Ionic bonds, chapter 6.
He's a guy who could have been on a Nobel Prize-winning research team, and something happened along the way. He kind of took the easy route.
On top of that, he finds out that he has terminal lung cancer. So instead of the dilemma of leaving his wife with nothing and his kids, he decides to do a very impulsive thing, very desperate move, and to use his ability and knowledge as a chemistry teacher to create the purest crystal meth, amphetamine, on the market and sell it.
What are you doing?
These are my good clothes. Can't go home smelling like a meth lab.
Yeah, you can. I do. I play the role of Jesse. He's this kind of, I don't know, lost kid who has decided to make meth for a living.
The DEA took all your money, your lab. You got nothing. Square one. But you know the business. And I know the chemistry.
Their characters are so different, but they've gone into this thing together, and they can't get away from each other now.
What the hell is this?
Lab safety equipment. We're also going to have an emergency eye wash station. Our points of reference are completely different. I don't understand what he's talking about. I don't get him. I don't particularly like him, actually, to be honest with you. And as the character, I don't particularly like his character either.
See, I love Brian.
There's a lot to love.
These guys have such chemistry, you know, no pun intended. They're so much fun to watch. They're so much fun to write for. Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul are the odd couple for the 21st century.
Did you learn nothing from my chemistry class?
No, you flunked me. Remember?
We're so opposite. We're on completely different ends of the spectrum. He's very orderly, and I am just kind of fly by the seat of my pants.
Aaron has really, I mean, we're just thrilled to write for him.
Aaron, you wait to see him on screen, and he's got like this rubber face and this rubber body, and he can make it do anything that you write down.
Oh, this is a good look for you. Oh yeah, work it.
Could you shut up and help me? There's a lot of humor in it. With every good drama, you have to have a certain healthy dose of comedy to offset it so it's not so morose. God.
The minute I read the script, the writing was so dark, so funny, so unique. I loved all the characters.
What the hell is this?
Damned if I know. I described it as mosaic folk art.
Well, a lot of the humor comes from the situation of having a character who is the complete fish out of water. He's a guy that has no experience in crime, very straight-laced guy. I mean, he's a high school chemistry teacher.
Brian is a delight, man. He's a really funny guy, and he really makes it enjoyable to come to the set every day, other than the fact he likes to run around with his pants off.
Bryan Cranston enjoys taking his pants off more than pretty much anyone I've ever met. He likes being pantsless. So there, Bryan, now the world knows.
He was in his underwear for pretty much like a week straight, and like the first couple days, for lunch, he'd go back and kind of change into his clothes, but then eventually he just like, screw it.
I just don't want to look foolish. Is that possible? Well, no. Can you prevent me from looking foolish? No.
This is the second series in a row that I've been in tighty-whitey underwear.
Well,
and I'm beginning to think that that's what America wants to see.
God bless him. I sure as hell wouldn't do it.
Hey, Mark. You're an artist. It's a damn shame.
Wait. Listen to me. I'll teach you my recipe. Huh? What do you say? You want to cook like me?
Cut. Very nice.
I think that Vince Gilligan is probably one of the most brilliant writers I've ever worked with, and speaks with a very unique voice.
I love that when you meet Vince, you would not think that this was his show.
He's this high-pitched from Virginia, and he's just a sweet guy, and he talks like your little goober pie. But he's got some twisted secrets going on deep inside of his psyche.
That's what's so strange. Like, Vince is this kind of kind-hearted person, but he writes some up.
We look how we look and we think how we think. The weird thing is, when I come up with these stories, I don't really think of myself as, I don't really think of the stories as being that out there.
He's such a gentleman, he's so nice. And then sometimes you just get to a scene and go, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
Wipe down this!
The ace up our sleeve that we have is Bryan Cranston. I had clear ideas, or I thought I did, about who Walt was when we started on this process. But Bryan's ideas were clearer, and they were better.
I thought a lot about how I would want to present Walter physically. He let himself go in his occupational dreams and desires. So too was his body. He let himself go. And we took all the color out of my face and just took it down. Had this silly little mustache that really didn't say anything. You know, even his name, Vince said his name is Walter White. You know, just White. As we progress, Walt will change.
He starts out as the most bland, ordinary milquetoast guy in the world, and then he starts to come to life, and we end up in green, which represents life to Walt.
You are not how I remember you from class. I mean, like, not at all.
We've treated this like a feature film. We created a color palette for him that would be a complete arc during the course of this experience.
At the end of the day, this has to be a show about the consequences of a really bad decision. And one of the worst things I could think of that he could do would be to cook crystal meth.
I do not think that it glamorizes crystal meth at all. I think it shows it in its absolute truthful form. And it's not pretty.
This is an evil, awful drug, crystal meth.
This is glass grade.
And it creates a tremendous amount of damage to society. And it's not something that Walt was able to even listen to at that point. He wasn't capable of looking and thinking long term. But in our series, we will show the effects of what crystal meth does to a person, to a family, to a society. And it's going to be heavy at times. But I think it's where we have to go. No, we only sell it, we don't use it.
Okay, since when?
The audience doesn't have to agree with anything Walt is doing, but they have to understand why he's doing what he's doing.
It's a tremendous challenge, but hopefully audiences will like the man that he was and battle within themselves the man he's becoming.
If you have sympathy for him as a human being, you can hate his choice, but maybe you can kind of understand how he would come to make that choice.
It's not about guilt or innocence. Walt is guilty, and we know that. And we don't sympathize with him. We know he's wrong in what he's doing, but in a lot of ways we empathize with him because he is like us.
I wanted a character who was just a very square dude, a very straight arrow kind of an individual. I wanted to see Dr. Jekyll turn into Mr. Hyde. You know, I wanted to see Lon Chaney Jr. turn into the werewolf. What if we take, you know, Mr. Chips and turn him into Scarface over the course of 40 or 50 episodes?